Let the sun shine upon this Lord of Cinder.
Hello everyone, my name is Wailed, and the sun has shined upon me once more, sparking me with new ambitions. I've always held a curiosity for all the items available in a game, whether it be weapons, tools, armor sets, some funny little trinkets found in the random corners of a world. I'd often find it satisfying to see everything gathered in one spot with a board that says 100% complete. Games, nowadays, tend to have achievements encouraging the player to collect many of these things. For example, here in Dark Souls, we have the game achievements for collecting every spell, miracle, and pyromancy, along with the Knight's Honor achievement, which tasks the player with obtaining a list of rare weapons and shields. This list does include all of the boss weapons, and some more rare weapons with a low drop rate, but not all of them made the cut. Even if a player were to complete all 4 of these achievements, they would not have everything in the game. This leaves behind a handful of rare weapons people probably don't even realize exists. And that's not even including all the armor sets available in the game, with even some sets only being available from quest lines or rare drop rates from select enemies. So that's why I'm here today. My plan is to collect everything across all the Souls games with a multi-part video series. First, I'll be covering Dark Souls 1 with a 2-parter, to see how y'all like it. As someone with many hours in this game, a curiosity to scroll through lists of all the items available, and a passion for finding the drop rates of items, I'll travel to the ends of this land to find and secure everything possible. For this is my quest to collect everything in Dark Souls 1. Part 1. To start off this quest, I name my character Ethan Ting, and make him a cleric with a pendant as his starting gift. I've never chosen the cleric starting class, hence why I chose it. As for the pendant, I'll say more about it when the time comes. We awaken in the Undead Asylum, quickly breaking out with our first item, the dungeon cell key. We run past the Asylum demon to quickly pick up our mace and talisman, along with picking up our cans of Fresca from Oscar. I then swiftly dispose of the Asylum demon and can finally get this quest fully started. We start our journey in the Upper Undead Burg, a fortified town surrounded by large walls and watchtowers, home to many violent hollows roaming the area, and to top it all off, a drake was added for good measure. But that's enough yapping about the area. Let's start collecting. First, I find a light crossbow on the upper balcony, and a wooden shield behind this door. I make my way further and talk to the male undead merchant, and for now only purchase the residence key and a bottomless box to hold all the extra items I'll come across when collecting them. With the resident key, I open a home to collect a rare and limited gold pine resin, and then throw hands with the Black Knight found below. Sadly, he didn't drop anything good, but I can now pick up the blue Tearstone ring, which boosts defenses when health is low. But now, with all the loose items collected, I can now talk about the first armor set we will be farming for, the Hollow Warrior set. I know, how riveting, isn't it? The Undead Burg and later Undead Parish is home to 2 hollow enemies, known as the Hollow Warrior and the Hollow Soldier. Yes, there are distinct differences between them, with the warriors wearing a more leathery based armor and the soldiers being a more traditional metal and iron variety. Down here, the Hollow Warrior is more common, so I'll be targeting them for now. The warrior set is made up of 3 pieces, being a helm, armor, and a waistcloth, all with a 1% drop rate chance. Yippee! Now with all this said, I'm going to quickly explain how we can boost our drop rate odds, in which we have 2 ways, that being with select equipment or humanity. We don't have access to any of the equipment that can help us, so that means it comes down to humanity. When humanity is used, it makes this number go up, which then increases our item discovery, which is an actual stat we can track in the stats menu. We can then increase our chances with humanity all the way up to a 10, where it caps. After that point, we need the use of these other items to help us boost it further. Now for the case of the warrior set, due to the abundance of the enemy, I was able to quickly get all 3 pieces with only 2 humanity in use, which means it's time for me to move on to the boss of the area, the Taurus Demon. The Taurus Demon fight went by smoothly, due to it just being an intro boss fight. But as an important note, for the first time ever, the boss has dropped its weapon, being the Demon Great Axe, which has only a 5% drop rate, so I'll be taking this as a good omen for what's to come. I make my way out of the boss area to of course meet up with Solaire and obtain the White Sign Soapstone, where I then quickly make my way across the Drake Bridge before I end up like the Witches of Salem. I return to the Undead Merchant and purchase a short bow and a lot of arrows. With these, I place myself under the Drake Bridge and proceed to shoot the Drake's tail until it pops off like a Lego piece, giving me my first tail cut weapon, the Drake Sword. I then quickly ran across the bridge to get to the Sunlight Altar under the Drake, giving me access to the Undead parish above, while picking up the Claymore. I begin making my way up towards the parish, where I pick up these alluring skulls to fry the armored boar, before finishing it off, claiming the boar helm with only a 25% drop rate. Maybe I will get those lottery tickets. I then picked up the mystery key while making a detour for the Knight's Shield. Before I go any further, I farm the Undead Soldiers here to collect the Undead Soldier set. This is also made up of 3 pieces, being a helm, chest piece, and waistcloth, all with a 1% drop rate. I then grab the basement key for later while grabbing this random halberd. Now inside the parish, I can talk more about the curious case of the Baldur Knights. While they can drop their armor set, along with their weapons and shield, the problem is I'm able to purchase most of their items later on, without having to gamble on them dropping. All except for the Baldur Side Sword, the only weapon drop that makes people wish they were a Dex build. I mention all this while I pick up this Firekeeper soul to state that while I don't need the Baldur armor now, I'll be getting plenty of it as I grind for the Side Sword. Also, I like to mention, for the case of these more rare weapons, I'll be using them to fight the bosses. I'm spending all this time farming for them, I like to actually use them and share my thoughts. So with everything said, and my words keeping you all distracted, I like to make everyone jealous, because I present to you not just 1, but 2 Baldur Side Swords. Haha! Yeah, I know you're all cursing me. So before I fight the gargoyles, I just have a few more things to do, such as buying out the vendors of this area. Here, I buy everything from the Undead Male Merchant, with standout items such as the Hand Axe and the Reinforced Club. While I finally talk to Andre the Blacksmith to upgrade my side sword and purchase everything he has as well, including items such as the War Pick, the Caestus, and the Pike, just to name a few. But more importantly, I grab the Crest of Artorias for later exploring. Also, before I forget, the Great Sword Black Knight dropped nothing, so I decided to release Lordran so we can get more items later on. As for the gargoyle fight, I summoned our good friend Solaire, so I can get a free sunlight medal after this. And I must say, the side sword was tearing through the gargoyles. Keep in mind, their health is doubled with Solaire here, and it's making it seem like nothing's changed. I'm really starting to understand the hype behind this weapon now. And with that, the gargoyles are swiftly disposed of, and I ring the first bell. But before I go, a new friend spawns at the base of the bell. This here is Oswald, and he seems like an oddball, but he's rather helpful. With him, I purchased the Indictment and the Book of the Guilty, and while I wish I could say these are very powerful items, they're just used to report players with an in-universe explanation. He does also sell 2 very useful rings, this being the Bloodbite Ring and the Poison Ring, which reduce blood and poison buildup. With finally, he has our first spell, Karmic Justice, and a new catalyst, the Velka's Talisman. Now before I head on to Lower Undead Burg, I make a stop by the entrance of Sen's Fortress to wake up everyone's favorite onion bro, Siegmeyer, to ensure his questline is moving along. Now we venture into the lower levels of Undead Burg, and find it very welcoming, with its large piles of burning bodies, feral dogs, and the Brits collecting donations for the local blood drive. So let's start by putting the residence key to use once more by opening this door to save this mage, Griggs, while I collect the sorcerer set and catalyst in the room as well. I make my way further down the street to get a welcoming party from the Hollow Thieves, where in the rooms they exited, I can find the Mailbreaker and the Thief set. And with that, I've found everything I can, So let's move on to the enemy I'll be farming, the Hollow Thief. With a 1% drop rate for the daringly named Hollow Thief set and Bandit Knife. I don't have much to say about farming for this stuff. It went by really fast actually, due to the good abundance of the enemy in this small area. As for the armor set, I don't see many people use it, probably due to people skipping this area or running through it as fast as they can. I will say I've always liked the hood for this set. I think it's the best hood available in Dark Souls 1. Now before I fight the boss, I head on to enter this sewer line and speak with the undead female merchant. She mostly sells items that aid the player, but she does have some exclusives, such as the popular poison arrows and poison daggers, but I always forget that she sells fire arrows. Honestly, I constantly forget these exist. Now I go on to fight the Capra demon dressed like the Hollow Thief, Bandit Knife included, and it went by smoothly, doing the boss in my first attempt. Totally wasn't stressed at all about losing all the humanity I've stockpiled. Nope, not at all. Let's make our way deeper, shall we? So I enter and try to get to know the locals better by ordering some of their cuisine. The chef wasn't happy and tried to throw me into the stew. With the defeat of the butcher, I claim the large ember and raid their pantry to save Laurentius, the pyromancer. As I exit, another butcher falls from the ceiling, and I claim the sack from its corpse. I progress forward to light the bonfire and find the door locked. After repeatedly shaking the handle, I realize I've been spoiled by constantly getting the master key. I quickly backtrack and throw myself down the trash chute. Here, I pick up the spider shield and slay this giant rat to find the sewer chamber key. So now, I can get to the bonfire. With this, I make myself human and make my way into the winding corridors of the sewers. Here, I deal with my first Red Phantom invader, Kirk, who has a chance to drop his weapon and shield. But just like my ex-wife, he left me nothing behind. I'll talk more in depth about him later on. I make my way through the basilisk-infested areas, picking up some Eyes of Death, along with finding the Ring of Evil Eye, a ring that regens some health when that enemy is slain. I then make my way towards the boss room, where I chat with another merchant, Domhall of Zena, and purchase some crystal weapons such as the straight sword, greatsword, and shield, along with the armor set he wears. Domhall will have a larger role later on, but I'll cover that when it's more appropriate. While Solaire is available to summon, I could get another Sunlight Medal, but he mostly becomes a hindrance in this fight, hence why I suggest not bringing him. But he does buy me enough time to chop off the gaping dragon's tail to claim our second tail-cut weapon, the Dragon King Great Axe, allowing me to move on from this place to somewhere so much worse. As we all know, Blighttown is ultimately a maze of wood structures standing on top of a poison swamp. First, you want to make this slightly precise jump to land on this structure to claim the Aita. Then, make your way around this pillar to find Patch's favorite shield. We make our way down further to fight this parasite from behind, to claim Power Within, and then make our way back up to reach the Shadow set, or the Ninja set as it's called. Finally, I drop back down to pick up the whip. Then, I give Divine Payback to the Bloodart Hollow to claim the Wanderer set and the Falchion. With my feet firmly back on the ground, and lighting this bonfire, I can start making my way across the poison swamp. By going behind the bonfire, I can find a chest with a dragon scale in it. Not sure why I need it, but hey, you never know. Then I make my way around the edge of the swamp, by first entering this tree to find the best item from Bloodborne, the Plank Shield. I then fight my way through these giant leeches to pick up some green titanite and the server. As I'm making my way through the marsh, I do come across not a rare weapon, but a rare sight, a Vagrant, which drops me a twin humanity. Very nice. I then pick up the spell Poison Mist, which comes with the Tattered set, and as I reach the end of this walk through the marsh, I find the biggest stick possible, the Great Club, a strength build's favorite weapon. I then make myself human and head towards the elevator wheel, where the invader, Man-Eater Mildred, appears. I then swiftly show her back to the kitchen and claim her weapon, the Butcher's Knife. I take the elevator wheel up, across this branch and find the Crimson set with the Tin Banishment Catalyst, and the Remedy spell in a chest close by. I then pick up my second Firekeeper soul by expertly navigating the Blow Dart hollows that guard it. Now before I fight Quelaag, there is a weapon I need to farm for down here. A weapon that spawns from the infested barbarians. These barbarians come in two flavors, the stick swinging kind and the boulder throwing kind. We want the rock throwers because they have a 5% chance to drop a pickaxe. Oh, would you look at that, 2 of them. Now I'll be honest, the pickaxe doesn't have much special going on for it, but it will always be special to me. That, and I really like its item description. I find it funny how threatening it becomes towards the end of the description. Finally, moving on to the boss, Quelaag, there's not much of note. The pickaxe served well with it only being +5, and I quickly put her out of her misery. With that, I can ring the second bell of awakening, opening the way to Sen's fortress. But before I get going, I stop by Firelink Shrine to of course find the Firekeeper slain, thanks to me letting Lordran go free. This lets me pick up the Black Eye Orb, and more importantly, the Dingy set, a set only attainable by letting this happen. Let's move on to Sen's fortress, shall we? Now before I enter this funhouse of OSHA violations, I'll start off by farming the snake men that welcome me at the entrance, with a 2% drop rate for their weapon, the Man-Serpent Greatsword. That's if I'm not fumbling around getting demolished by them. But I do eventually get the sword. I quickly upgrade it at Andre, and this is the weapon I'll be using to get through this place. For my thoughts on the weapon, it's a fast and strong hitting greatsword that lets you turn on a dime if needed. It doesn't have any special moves or abilities though. Now it's not too often I'm told I'm directionally challenged, and my goal is to ascend Sen's fortress, not descend Sen's fortress. But down I must go into the Titanite demon infested area, avoiding the lightning and pain they bring, to quickly pick up the scythe, being guarded by a Titanite demon. With this being the first one I fight, I quickly dispose of it, and majorly to my surprise, I pick up the Titanite catchpole. Now I'm going to be very honest, I need everyone to pretend this didn't happen, because I was originally planning on having to farm for this in Lost Izalith, and I would like to talk about it more when we get there. So look away! Nothing to see here. I properly continue my way deeper into the fortress, now making my way to the exterior boulder ramp, where at the top of it is a chest that holds the Ring of Steel Protection, which boosts all physical defense, just in time for these boulders. Then I fall to the side of the ramp and pick up a shuttle, and once again talk to Sigmire as he fails to get past the boulders. I've told him to invest more points into endurance so he can have more stamina to make it up the ramp. Now as I roam deeper in the inner workings, I humiliate the Snake Mage and pick up the reskin of the Sorcerer set, the uniquely named Black Sorcerer set, and the spell Hush. I make my way to the drop-off of the boulders and wait for it to overflow, opening up a secret room, giving me access to the one ring to rule them all. At least for someone in my situation. Here I find the Covenant's Gold Serpent Ring, which boosts item discovery by 200 points, a major find for me. With finally, I encounter my first Mimic and quickly dispose of it, claiming a lightning-infused spear. To keep things simple for now, either I'll have to defeat all of them or get very lucky. Putting my firebomb degree to use, I make my way to the roof and light this bonfire, giving me a well-deserved break. Starting off the roof section by finding this chest with a flame stoneplate ring, just in time to deal with the firebomb giant. I then show Rickard that the bigger sword is better, and with that I take his sword and find 2 chests, with a divine blessing and a rare ring of sacrifice. I jump this gap, descend this tower, and claim the cage key, allowing me to make my way back through Sen's fortress to pick up the slumbering dragon crest ring, and back up on the roof I jump down to claim the sniper crossbow and sniper arrows. I then redirected the boulders to open another secret passageway, allowing me to use the cage key once more to free this fella known as Big Hat Logan. More on him later. Back on the roof, I jump the gap once again and speak with the crestfallen merchant, where I purchase the exclusive items including the Great Sword, Great Axe, and the Tower Shield, along with the full steel and Katarina armor sets. As well, he does sell the spell and Thunder Stoneplate rings, which both reduce magic and lightning damage. Now moving on to the Iron Golem, things go well, up until I experience the longest fall of my life. But I quickly came back and put this useless hood ornament to rest. In new game, I'm just going to let Tarkus handle this. But now I can ascend into the land of the gods with the Anor Londo. Anor Londo is a land known for its perpetually setting sun and gorgeous architecture, the home of Lordran's few remaining gods. The city of Anor Londo will always take your breath away. So let's get this started, shall we? First, my major note being my second encounter with a mimic that drops me a crystal halberd, along with encountering the gargoyles once more. Now, as I cross the rafters and break this chandelier, let me tell you some interesting facts about the items they can drop. For any that are aware, the gargoyles can drop a few items, that being the gargoyle halberd, shield, and helm. Across the game, you have 3 chances to get a random piece from each gargoyle encounter. First being the boss of the upper bell, and the second and third being found here on the bridge of Anor Londo. Now, why am I telling you all this? Because for any that have been keeping track, the first and second gargoyle have dropped nothing so far. The thing is, after all 3 of them have been slain, the player will be guaranteed all the items. Meaning that as I defeat the third and final gargoyle, it will drop all the items related to it at once, something I've never seen and find very satisfying. Taking the bridge back down, I can find the Nameless King ring in the Dark Moon tomb. This ring grants additional damage to my offensive miracles, if I had any. I then make my way into the painting room to pick up the Great Magic Weapon spell from the chandelier that fallen, along with finding the black iron armor set and great shield in a corner. And once again, it's time to farm for another weapon. This room is home to the Painting Guardians, and what they have is a 2% drop rate for their weapon, the aptly named Painting Guardian Sword. Ooh. Ah. This took me about 13 minutes to farm for it. I mention this because I don't have much to say about the sword. Let's move on. So I continue towards the main building, making my way past the welcoming committee and showing the Silver Knight Archer how cool my sword looks. Inside, I say hello to Solaire and find 3 sunlight medals in a chest nearby. As well, I'm just going to knock out the obvious and break this illusionary wall to get Havel's shield, set, and the Dragon Tooth. Also, I encounter my 3rd mimic and obtain the Occult Club. Interestingly enough, I then encountered my 4th mimic and find 5 silver coins, and to my surprise, I obtain the Symbol of Avarice, which has a 1% drop rate chance, and is only guaranteed if all the mimics have been slayed in a current playthrough. I continued my way through these empty halls until I once again encountered Sigurd, who is having trouble with a room ahead full of silver knights. As he falls asleep once again, I quickly dispose of all 3 knights, and he rewards me with the Tiny Being's Ring, which boosts the player's health by a measly 5%. Thanks. I then find the complete Silver Knight set in a chest and pick up a silver spear from a knight that dropped it. I head out a window to locate the Dragon Slayer Great Bow and Great Arrows, where I then squeeze behind the giant blacksmith to get the Hawk Ring, which boosts the range of bows. Now once again, it's time to farm for some weapons, and the target is obvious. Here we have the Silver Knights, and while I've already claimed the spear, which has a 2% drop rate, this leaves the Silver Knight sword, also with a 2% drop rate. Now the spear and sword are 2 very good weapons that come with the unique ability to keep skeletons from reforming. As well, weirdly enough, the sword can have resins and buffs applied to it, while the spear cannot. I don't know, maybe the devs are sword biased or something? I now chat with a giant blacksmith to once again buy out all his wares, with such items as the giant halberd and great shield, along with a full giant set. He also sells more unique arrows, including the moonlight arrows and lightning bolts for crossbows. Now I was about to fight Ornstein and Smo, but I was reviewing my list of items and realized I forgot something. Back with the Silver Knights, I forgot to farm for one thing, the Silver Knight Shield, an item that has a lesser drop rate than its weapon-based siblings, at a 1% chance. I'll be honest, I tend to forget this shield exists. Luckily, it only took me 7 minutes to find it because that's all the time I had to spare. Now for the Ornstein and Smell fight, I'll be using the Silver Knight sword that I've maxed out with the help of the giant blacksmith selling Twinkling Titanite. As well, I've summoned Solaire to score me another free sunlight medal after the fight. Now as for the fight, it was a complete mess. For Ornstein and Smell, that is, with the Silver Knight sword tearing through Smell's health bar like butter, while on the Solaire front, he actually got Ornstein's health down to halfway really quickly. He had me worried for a second that he was about to solo Ornstein and throw off my plans. Luckily, I was faster, and with the defeat of Smo, we do fight with Super Ornstein, where after his defeat, I can pick up the exclusive drop, the Leon Ring, which boosts the counter damage of pierced weapons. Now I enter Guinevere's room and discover another chest holding the Lord Vessel, which grants me the ability to teleport between bonfires, with my first order of business being to return to the Sunlight Altar, and with my faith now at 25, I can join the Warriors of Sunlight and receive the first physical miracle, the Miracle Lightning Spear, which I'll be putting to work by returning to Anor Londo to claim my vengeance on Lordran. I throw a lightning spear into his mage friend, and then proceed to expertly dissect this trio one at a time, only to finally finish off Lordran by humiliating him with a parry, allowing me to return to my world with a souvenir of reprisal and the Firekeeper's soul. I can then head up to the balcony in Ornstein and Smell's room and find his set, the Set of Favor, and add it to my collection. Now upon my return to Firelink Shrine, I speak with Sigurd, who rewards me with the Miracle Emit Force. I then restore the Firekeeper's soul to get the bonfire fixed. Yeah, sorry for using you as a sacrifice to get more items. I then chat with my homeboy, Laurentius, and get a Pyromancy Flame, with me then buying out all his stock of Pyromancy spells. Then I head towards the back of Firelink, towards the graveyards, because I'll finally be cleaning out this area. And don't worry, I'll keep it quick. First, I run in to pick up a strength user's weapon of choice, the Zweihander, along with some binoculars, a winged spear, and the Caduceus round shield. Now, onto the weirdest thing I'll ever say, I need to farm these skeletons in the graveyard, because they have a 2% drop rate for their red and white shield. That's completely exclusive to them. Not much to say, it's a red and white shield. I then talk to Griggs of Vinheim to pick up some spells, including a Royal Decoy and Fall Control, along with the Bellowing and Slumbering Dragon Crest rings. Finally, I pick up the Undead Asylum F2 West key for later. And by later, I mean now, as I head up to the top of the shrine and get picked up by the bird once again for my return trip to the asylum. Alright, trust me, this is going to be a quick in and out, a turn and burn, if you will. I enter the asylum, slay the first Black Knight, and get the Black Knight's sword. I then fail to come up with a fruit joke and pick up the Crest shield. I head up a level and use the Undead Asylum F2 West key to get the Rusted Iron Ring, which prevents movement penalties in water and other surfaces. I then pick up what shouldn't be easily forgotten, and then show the Stray Demon the Light, Ning Spears, and quickly claim the Titanite Slab. And that's how you do it, in and out, boom, turn and burn. Now with the peculiar doll in my possession, I return to the painting in Anor Londo and get sucked into it, taking me to the cold land of Ariamis. During my time here, Lightning Spear gets its use by keeping the pus hollows away from me, allowing me to make my way towards this bridge where I claim the Blood Shield. And quickly run away! I quickly and calmly dispose of the undead dragon, granting me another dragon scale. I then make it to the top of the staircase to nowhere and pick up the red soapstone. I then fall down into a room with rats and find the Painting Guardian set in a chest. Then I go deeper into the bone zone, turn a lever to open a door, and then make my way into the backbone wheel rooms, where I then find the annex key and slay this pus hollow that drops the pyromancy fire surge. I also got lost for a bit and found Velka's rapier. As I make my way forward, I get brief PTSD of the fear of the mighty eagle appearing, and proceed to pick up the Dark Ember in a miracle that's going to be a favorite of mine, the Vow of Silence. This miracle can nullify the use of any spell, miracle, or pyromancy. Also, I grabbed the Black Cleric set. I make myself human once again, so you all should know what that means. it's time to do battle with another red invader, and today's opponent is King Jeremiah. He specializes in using a notched whip and pyromancies. So, with one cast of Vow of Silence, I can put a stop to it. Karmic Justice? Dang it, why do these spells look so similar to each other? Anyway, it doesn't matter, because I just Lightning Speared Jeremiah, which grants me his weapon, the Notched Whip. Another weapon to add to my collection. Oh, and the spell Acid Surge is behind this wall back here. Now it's time for me to farm once again, but not for a weapon or armor, but a Covenant item. I know, I can hear everyone groaning. Just hold on. To keep it simple, a Covenant item is basically a currency to select groups. Luckily, we are already familiar with the one we are going after, the Souvenirs of Reprisal. These can be farmed from the Crow Demons here in the Painted World with a 6% drop rate. And that's all I can say. Nothing of excitement, just me slaying a bunch of Crow Demons. Y'all can just go right down the road for a bit, I'm gonna be here a while. Finally, with everything here cleared out, let's head on to the fluffy half-dragon everyone loves, Priscilla. Now for this next part, I give warning, because I'm about to chop off the fluffy tail, which rewards me with the next tail cut weapon, Priscilla's Dagger. But this also angers Priscilla, so now's the time to properly use Vow of Silence. So this time, properly using Vow of Silence, it can more clearly reveal to me where Priscilla is when she's invisible, allowing me to quickly defeat her. Now before I drop out of this place, I turn left by the gift shop to pick up the Anthus set, my full reward for defeating King Jeremiah. Now our next stop will have us getting to the root of more items. Darkroot Forest, a place every Souls player stumbles into on their way to ringing the bells of awakening. I've always enjoyed the vibe this place has. To make it clear, this area is split into two sections, the forest that pushes onward, and the basin that spills downward. I'll be starting in the basin, and by dropping down to this ledge, you can find the leather set and the longbow. Some of the pieces are missing, and I'll talk about that later. As for the Black Knight encounter, I didn't get any weapons this time. Nothing new. But I did get the Black Knight shield, which has a 5% drop rate, a much smaller number compared to the 20% drop rate chance of the weapon the knight wields. Also, I found a Dark Souls celebrity, the Grass Crest shield. Now at the bottom of the basin, I can make my way past the crystal golems and do battle with the Hydra. I chop off a few of its heads and let Lightning Spear finish it off, rewarding me with another Dragon Scale and the Dusk Crown ring. This ring boosts the number of casts available while halving the player's HP. Also, the Knight set is found here in the water. I use the Rusted Iron Ring to navigate the water and reach the back of the basin where there's an alcove. Here, I do battle with a golem and free Dusk of Ulasil. I then return to the front of the basin where I find her summon sign, and she becomes a merchant with some very unique spells. Some of these I do favor. Here we have the spells Hidden Body and Hidden Weapon, which can make the player and their weapons invisible. And of course, my favorite spell, Chameleon, which lets you disguise yourself as an item within the environment. But after talking with Dusk, I can then return to where the Golden Golem was and find her item set, the Dusk set. Now with the basin cleared out, I can make my way deeper into the forest. I'll be saving what's behind this door for last. Here in the deeper parts of the forest, I do battle with a small tree ents and stone knights, as they surround the best set in the game, the Elite Knight set. While I'm here, a stone knight drops the stone greatsword, and I find a weird lizard guarding my favorite spear, the Partisan Spear. I then proceeded to kill a tree. I mean that literally, I killed a tree. Don't tell Danny DeVito. Encounter some frog rays and find the wolf ring up on a cliff, which can increase poise by 40 points. Now, while we're here, it's time to talk about another rare item I can farm for, the Stone Great Sword and Great Shield. These both have a 2% drop rate from the Stone Knights, and as I've mentioned, I already acquired the sword, so the shield quickly followed after. Now before I fight the Moonlight Butterfly, I like to quickly talk about a very obscure NPC that many don't use. I give you Witch Beatrice. She's only summonable for 2 boss fights, and her presence in both have very different effects. But I'll let Beatrice speak for herself as she solos the butterfly effortlessly. Now I can head to the top of this tower and claim the Divine Ember in the tower basement key. Which means it's Havel time. That's right, it's Havel time. I quickly humiliate this supposed imposter and claim Havel's ring. A ring that boosts equip load by 50%, allowing me better movement and heavier armor. Now, let's find out what's behind this door with the Crest of Artorias. And I immediately run away from everyone here until I reach this structure in the back. Here, I can find Alvina, the cat and leader of the Forest Hunter Covenant. She allows me to join and gives me the Cat Covenant ring. Now, being part of this covenant has the people here become passive, so I can make my way deeper into the forest where I find the Easterners set. I then make my way back towards Alvina and chat with this guy named Shiva of the East, who mentions gathering rare items he finds. I then make my way around this structure to find the Stone Knight set in a chest, allowing me to now talk about the Stone Knight Greatsword, one of the few weapons with a special move. This move casts magic rings which can slow down the enemies within a radius around us. I just think it looks really cool. I can then head deeper into the forest and encounter the Mushroom People, with their ability to hit you like a small truck. I take out these two big guys and claim the Enchanted Ember in this chest. As I now approach the saddest part of the area with Great Grey Wolf Sif. Just look away, I'm not crying. With Sif not defeated and simply running off to a butterfly farm, I find and obtain the Covenant of Artorias and find the Hornet Ring behind this large grave. This ring can boost the damage of critical attacks. And before I declare this area complete, it's time for a small epilogue elsewhere. If you're in the Forest Hunters Covenant and have spoken with Shiva, you'll find him back in Blighttown under the Water Wheel, where you'll find he's become a vendor. Shiva sells some incredibly rare weapons, with the likes of the Flamberge and the Demon Spear, both having a 2% drop rate from its respective enemies. He also sells exclusive items, such as the Uchikatana, Washing Pole, the Claws, and the Eastwood Grain Ring, which slows weapon durability. But finally, with Darkroot finally complete, let's move on to the final area of this video. Alright, it's time to take on the valley that lies below. It's the Valley of the Drakes. For this area, its name alone tells you everything you need to know. It's a valley, and there's drakes. Starting off, we find this definitely dead undead dragon corpse, which is obviously a trap set up to lure me in with these items. So I listen to Obi-Wan and take the high ground, striking it with all my miracles until it's defeated, granting me another dragon scale. As for the item it offers, we have the Astora's Straight Sword, one of the few weapons that come with divine damage built in, and the ever-stylish Dragon Crest Shield. I move forward to do battle with the actual drakes that live in this valley, where one of them drops me another dragon scale. It seems like I've come across a lot of these on my journey. I reach the middle of this drake-infested bridge to find the Brigand set, and after thwarting the rest of the drakes, I can climb this ladder and claim the Red Teto Stone Ring. And that's it! The valley can only go on for so far and so long. It was relatively short to clear out, but don't fret, our next stop is just down the road. Returning to Blighttown, I make my way across this generationally hated swamp, only to be stopped by a familiar face, Sigmire, who's once again in another pickle. He came to this terrible place without enough purple moss, so I lent him a few pieces and he rewarded me with a pierced shield. Carrying on, we approach this great tree once again, and now I must reveal a secret. Twin humanities! Yippee! I joke. As you see, located behind two illusionary walls, we find ourselves in an early game player's worst trap, the Great Hollow. This great tree has internal branches that stretch deep down to who knows where, and is home to a plethora of weapon upgrade materials. Surely it must have numerous items for us to collect. One item? It's home to one item? Or more accurately, one ring that rules over this whole area. We can jump down to this hollow spot to find the Chloranthy ring, a ring that increases stamina recovery and is well favored by many players. Now let's make our way down to the bottom, hopefully not ending up like this basilisk. At the bottom, we can find an opening that reveals to us one of my personal favorite areas, Ash Lake. What a view, isn't it? It's got this ethereal look to it, with these other great trees far off in the distance, And that black hydra over there. Oh. Well, first order of business is to slay this new hydra, granting me not just 1, but 2 dragon scales. And by making my way further, I can find another one in this log. As I move forward across these dunes of ash, you'll find a broken stump. By making your way around its exterior, you can drop down and find the miracle Great Magic Barrier, which reduces magic damage. Finally, at the end of this long winding path, I come across the Everlasting Dragon, the last of the dragons and keeper of the Everlasting Dragon Covenant. Upon joining, you will receive 2 things: the Dragon Eye, an item that lets you engage in combat for this covenant, along with a Dragon Headstone, which allows the player to make their head into a dragon. Now it's time for me to mention the bad part. The Covenant offers the Dragon Torso Stone by reaching rank 2, which is done by handing in 30 dragon scales, and for those keeping track, we've come across every dragon scale available, and that's definitely not enough. So it's time to farm one final time. We can farm dragon scales from the drakes back in the valley with a 6% drop rate. Now do keep in mind, 30 scales is a lot, so I'm gonna just stop talking so we can get this done. Cue the montage! With handing in the 30 scales, I received the Dragon Torso, and with a lot of pent-up anger, I could really use some release. So, to help with that, I walk behind the dragon, and here I can just chop off the tail. Like really, go at it. Swing at it! When it pops off, we will receive our next tail-cut weapon, the Dragon Greatsword. My reward for putting up with all this. And with that, this is where we come to a stop. I'll pick up the next part with me taking on the rest of the game, including the 4 lords, the DLC, and the many New Game Plus runs for the remaining missing items. I hope you've all enjoyed this. Leave me comments to let me know your thoughts on the series, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, my name's been Wailed, and I'll see you all in part 2. Good night, everybody!